So let me hurry up and finish this because I feel like I'm probably yapping your ear off. So we started to implement like we don't want this done, we don't want that. I mean, and hey, that's my right. If I don't want vitamin K or whatever, then I don't want vitamin K. Don't give it to my son. No, there's no debating. There's no this is not, I'm not in a I'm not in a prison camp. I'm not a prisoner. I am a American, and I'm a mother that's allowed to exercise my rights. And I'm letting you know, I don't want this in or on my son. Well, that's began a the beginning. That was the beginning of the how would you say? Excuse me. Basically, what I feel like they did it in response to, as in like a retaliation, because we weren't following through with whatever they wanted us to follow through. You understand? Excuse me. Because we weren't abiding by their whatever the heck you want to call it. So because I didn't want to put poison in or on my son, they had a big hippie fit, basically, in other words. And it even got to the point to where when they finally transferred me to my the room, like you actually settle down in the recovery room. I had the actual, I guess you would say, like my attending nurse, like that is specifically for that room to me. She waited for them to leave, and she whispers to me, you don't want to upset them because they will call CPS on you. And I would look at her like, so this Indian lady, well, I mean, I'm not racist or anything, but she was just obviously Indian with her, accent and stuff, and the way she was, which is fine because, I mean, I look pretty Latina myself, but so I just remember looking at her like, I don't know, like, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know, lady, like, I don't know if this is okay in your country where you're from, but like, but I mean, I wanted to say something to the extreme, but I looked at her like, are you serious? Like, did you just like low-key threaten me? Like, you just told me that basically I better do what they say or else? So so she tells me, I better do what they say or risk the chance of getting CPS called. I mean, I'm like, I just looked at her like, whatever, okay, whatever. So time goes by and everything's fine. He was born healthy. That's as far as I knew. Everything was fine. I had nothing to worry about. But the only thing is, I wasn't getting that hour bond with him. So I just kept, trying to let them know, like, excuse me, can I just have my hour skin to skin, So long story short, so let me just hurry up. So what ended up happening was, so because of, like I said, we weren't abiding by their so-called whatever rules or whatever, and we weren't, just basically bowing down to them and doing as they said, and because they basically wanted to force. They sure did. They called CPS on us. Based on just because of that. Had nothing to do with drugs, like they wanted to say later on. That's just, just keep that in mind for, note to self. No. It was merely because we didn't do as they said. And it says it in the paper, in the report. That's exactly what it says. They basically told on themselves. It says literally, because we were being like defiant as soon as we got there. So basically what they did was they reported us, and a hospital social worker came in, and her name, I remember her name was Jennifer. She was a young little rookie social worker, and Jennifer, she was sweet, I mean, I gotta give it to her, she's she's new to the game, and she's a social worker in progress. I'll give her that. She has spunk, but I am just like, I literally, as like after the brief moments of just meeting her and the brief minutes of actually getting to finally just like, um, just I just I already knew. I already knew what was coming. It didn't matter what I said or what I did. That was it. It was that was it. And it's really sad because I really didn't see that. I really thought we were clear. And so because they made that report just based upon them making claims of, just to like, do an assessment to make sure we're okay, because we're, you know, they don't want to say this, but come on now. We're crazy, and I'm pretty sure what they did also was they profiled us, because, yeah, my dude, he's a white guy with tattoos, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, if you don't know him, he might look a little, he could look from, just looking at him, he might, if you want to be a judgmental, prick, you can base his looks upon your judgment and maybe say, oh, he looks like a thug or a criminal or whatever, because he's, you know. So what they did was they basically how do you say the word, coerced us, okay, to basically like force us to assess us, whether we liked it or not. And I basically became a prisoner of the hospital. And I either did as they said, and it really, honestly, at this point, it didn't even matter. There was no or else. It was or else, because the or else was already happening. So it was like, just do as we say, because the or else is, if the more you even try to question or fight it, it's just gonna be a lot more, intense. Put it that way. Okay, so let me just hurry up and really, I don't feel like talking about this anymore because it's just upsetting me. It's been a while, but so Jennifer, she asked me some questions, and then she tells me, I just want to, because she was just getting a little too, like, trying to just like kick the door open, and I was just like, nope, I'm right here. You could see me. It's like, I have the door cracked. Can I help you? What do you need? And, I'm just being like, metaphorically speaking. So she just basically just wanted to just, yeah, just be nosy. And I'm pretty sure you know why. So I was just trying to keep it as minimum and less personal, so she couldn't have any ammo to just. So I answered majority of her questions, and the ones that I felt uncomfortable answering, which were like questions that it was kind of more like how do you say, like, she knew and I knew, and we knew that she was just kind of a little bit overstepping her boundary. And it was like, okay, you've asked the questions you needed to ask, come on now. And her again, basically, in response to that was, either let me do my assessment on you, or I have no other choice but to call the actual official CPS, the county CPS. And I'm like, oh no, okay. We had to play that game. So here I am having to, forcefully answer her. So after all that shenanigans, even the father, Jason, he's like, So everything's good, right? He's healthy, we're fine. Oh yeah, he's fine. Yeah, he looks great, dad, da da da. And which is, they couldn't lie. He was fine. I had a perfect baby, remember? I mean, I was even breastfeeding him. So what's the deal? Like, why? Like, then it just became like, okay, enough is enough. Like, now you're harassing me. Like, how long has it been? And you're still in my room? I just had him. What do you want from me? I haven't done nothing wrong. Like it was almost to the point, like, either you're gonna call CPS or not. Like, and you are CPS, but you're the hospital social. I'm confused. Okay, wait. Excuse me? Can I get back to attending to my son that I just gave birth to? Excuse me. So, I'm gonna listen to your messages as soon as. I feel so bad. I feel like I'm talking so much. Anyways, so blah 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 blah. Okay, so she leaves, and then she tells. Oh, excuse me. Before she leaves, she goes, okay, well, I'm gonna check on you tomorrow, and then we can, like, basically check it off, and you'll be okay to go whenever, right? Well, the little biatch lied, because as soon as she left, she left. But before the time came, and it was already the next day, before she arrived the next day, excuse me, she already, I guess, pre-planned it, and already obviously called the county CPS workers on us, and they showed up. So the county CPS, San Bernardino County CPS worker, her name was Sharon Gonzalez. She was a rookie also. She's younger than me. She's actually like 26 or something. And you can tell too. She's just, can't stand her. Anyway, so Sharon Gonzalez comes and does the same thing. But this time, when she walks in, she tells me, so there's concerns that your son tested positive for marijuana. And I look at Jason, and I'm looking at her, and I look at Jason, and I look at my baby, and I'm just like thinking to myself, wow, they just won't stop. Like, what? So here we are playing the same game. How many years later? Okay, so we're gonna play this game, huh? So I just gave birth to a beautiful, healthy, perfect baby that's obviously breastfeeding from my breast right now, as you know. You're interviewing me, assessing me, an assessment that I didn't even need to have, because I was already assessed by, what's her face? Oh yeah, where is Jennifer? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you know Jennifer, because Jennifer is probably the one who gave you or sent in the referral to you, right? I would hope so. Oh yeah, she'll be here. She'll be here for what? If you're here, what would Jennifer need to be here for? It's okay. So Jennifer's gonna be here. So then we're gonna have another meeting. Is this? Let me guess. Another assessment. We're gonna have part what? 3, 4, 5. So the longest story short ever. And I'm so sorry. I've yapped your ear off this entire time. I honestly haven't really spoken about it, and since he was almost pretty much born, so that's like almost a year ago, 10 months. So I'll just get right to it. They waited till Jason left. What they basically did was, because he was working at the time, which he does. He's always worked, but he would come and visit us when either he had his lunch break or he was off work. So Jason would come on his lunch break, and or until he was actually officially off work, and then he would go to sleep with us and then wake up and go to work. But that night he was, I think he worked the grave shift. So they literally like studied his schedule and waited until he was obviously not around. And in the middle of the night, like around, I don't know, maybe 10, 10:30, 11, I'm feeding him, right? I'm feeding my son. So I remember I dimmed the lights really low because I was, it was finally like, I don't know, it felt like it was just like one of, out of the whole entire time there, I can actually like have peace and just me and him. And I was feeding him. I was feeding him and I was putting him to sleep. And just right as he's like about to fall asleep, they come in. And my nurse comes, like she escorts them in to like obviously like let them in. No knock, no nothing, no hey ma'am, no privacy mess, fair warning, and I, so the as soon as I seen the cop, I already knew. I knew what time. I knew the drill. I knew, I was just. I was more. It was more so like I was literally like utterly in shock. Like I really, honestly could not. Literally in that moment, could not believe it was happening again. And I was just like, no. And as soon as I seen that bitch, excuse my language, I saw her with her little clipboard and her little paperwork, thinking she's just like, Miss fucking, excuse my language, social worker of the year, of the century. She's rescuing kids from, bad parents, And I'm still holding my son, and I'm just like, and then in that moment, in that instant, I'm just thinking to myself, my poor baby. He doesn't even know what's coming. And I'm thinking to myself, these bastards, right? Oh, it's just like, oh, not again. Like, here. So I look at the cop, I look at her, and, I honestly, you would think I would freak out, but I had to, I don't know, so it was like a miraculous, calm. I think it was for my own good, if not for theirs, that I was just instantly given this just calmness to me, like almost like like really like a monk type, just chill vibe, like, oh, nothing can bother me. And he hands me the warrant, but, and there's a but, when he did that, I tell him, the father's not here, obviously, right? So what they did, so I'm just run it down to you. So what they did was when they handed me the warrant, they gave me my warrant and they gave me his also. And obviously he wasn't there, so he wasn't there for them to serve him. So that's kind of technically like, yeah. So, um, but as I think this is a pretty like major important part. So as I'm being handed both of the warrants for the both of us, Sharon Gonzalez looks at me and asks me or tells me, "So, what's your real name, Brianna?" And I just looked at her and I just like literally looked at her with the most utterly like disgusted, nauseating, furiously, offendedly, like, and then I looked at the cop like, did she just ask me what my name was and said my name? Or, but I didn't say it out loud like that, but I'm just like, but but I looked at him like, who? Because I never said anything. Who are you talking about? Am I, so, what's your real name? And I just continued to look at her like, your guess is as good as mine, because the last time I checked, it was Deanna. So, but anyways, uh, so I just basically, I basically, was being a smartass in a sense, but I stopped it there before I went any further because I didn't want to play her little dumbass game. So I basically looked at her and then I just said, you know what? I have nothing to say to you. Literally, that's all I said. I never answered her. I never said my name was this or that, or I confirmed it or anything. I said, I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say to you, Sharon Gonzalez. And then I looked at the officer and honestly, because in that moment, obviously I've learned a thing or two, and at least I learned this much. The only one that really matters in that whole entire freaking room at that moment is the cop. Even though he's so retarded and doesn't even know what the hell he's doing and that he's actually breaking the law, especially considering that there is an actual law in California. It's called actually California Code. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. California Penal Code 11165 dash or dot actually 13, and that basically states that you are not supposed to remove a actual literal newborn, and that's the actual text. You are not supposed to remove a newborn. Period. I don't care if it's. But anyways, that's a whole nother. I'm sorry, 5 hour. Yeah. So, I looked at the officer and I said, I basically, I had to try something. I mean, I was at, I mean, I wasn't just gonna like freely just hand over my baby like, oh, here you go, here's another one. I had to put up some type of fight, even if it was the most ridiculous fight ever recorded in history. I had to try something, hoping that it would work. Can you blame me? I mean, if I was, a truly messed up mom, I don't think she would have done that. So I asked him and I basically said, Officer, you mind if I speak to you in private? Can you please ask them to leave? Because I don't want to like ask them and then them try to like give me attitude and it just goes nowhere. You pretty much, would have be the authority figure here, you know how us girls can get. And so I'll give him that. At least I can respect that he did that for me. So he told him more or less, because it was her and her little sidekick. And he says, just give us a few moments, And I just, oh my God, as soon as they left, she did. She stepped out the door, and I didn't really care at this point. It was like, okay, well, I got him. It's. So I look at him and I broke. I freaking, and it was sincere. I wasn't lying. Like I said, I had to try. And so basically what I did was I told him the truth. In a sense, I didn't really, I don't know. So technically I didn't admit it to her at all. And I don't really think I even said, I just, in more or less words, I kind of okay, so basically what I did was I ran it down to him and I said, come on, are you a dad? Can you blame me for trying to save my baby? Knowing that I didn't do nothing wrong, knowing that they would run my name, and knowing that would be the only reason why he would be taken like he's being taken from you right now. And he, literally, dude, I can't believe this. That was the only, and I'll never say this again, because I hate cops, I don't care really. And he was pretty good looking too, but no. I can't stand cops because LAPD killed my uncle, but that's a whole nother story too. But I literally poured my heart out to him, and I just told him the truth. And I told him from, my firstborn and how I went and I did everything they asked me. I said, sir, I don't want no problems. I don't want no problems. I just want to be able to take my son home like he should. And like I said, can you blame me as a father? You have kids. You have kids? He was like, yeah, I have kids. I go, you have kids, okay? What would you do? He goes, and honestly, I could hear a little crack in his voice, and he kind of I guess got to him, he was literally about to cry. He's like, I guess I would probably do the same thing as you. And I go, exactly. So can you honestly blame me? Don't be mad at me, because I'm just doing what an actual caring and loving mother would, any mother would do if they actually really cared about their baby, Oh, man. So even though it, touched his little heartstrings or whatever, it still wasn't enough for him to, because he had a mission to complete, and that was to take my son. He was given direct orders, and they took him. They took him. Sorry. They took him. So I had him on October 15th, and on October 16th, at 11 at night, they took him. Right before Jason got home from work. And he's been in foster care ever since.